Hello everyone. Today we'll be covering ecosystems. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms along with the non-living components in their environment, all interacting as a system. The living parts of an ecosystem are called biotic factors. These things include animals and plants. The other part of this are the abiotic factors. These are the non-living components of an ecosystem. Rocks, water, air are all examples of abiotic factors. Now, there are very many types of ecosystems. For example, there are forest ecosystems, which include deciduous forests, evergreen forests, tropical rainforests. There are desert ecosystems, grassland ecosystems, mountain ecosystems, aquatic ecosystems, which includes both marine and freshwater ecosystems. Now let's turn to Bill Nye, the science guy, to teach us a little bit more about biodiversity within an ecosystem.
And wherever you're sitting, there are millions of different types of plants and animals, millions of different species, all living together in an environment in something we call an ecosystem. Now, in order for an ecosystem to be successful, in order for it to be healthy, it has to have different kinds of plants and animals. Lots of different kinds of plants and animals. Something we call biodiversity. Now, biodiversity sounds kind of complicated, but if you listen, it also sounds kind of nice. This is the Earth, our world. All the living things that we know of live here, and they live in ecosystems. Places like tundras, taigas, savannas, grasslands, prairies, deserts, steppes, intertidal zones, subtidal zones, continental shelves, deep ocean zones, estuaries, deciduous forests, temperate rainforests, tropical rainforests, Arctic ice packs, wetlands, marine mudflats, and cities. That's a lot of environments, but there are a lot of living things to fill them up. The Earth's environments are just crowded with life. Living things take hold everywhere they can. Here's an insect living right on top of blades of grass. It's a living thing that lives on other living things. See, environments always have living parts and non-living parts. Some animals live on top of plants. Some animals live in the water. Some plants grow on rocks. It's all part of the ecosystem.
Now that we have learned what biodiversity is from Bill Nye, let's see where all the energy comes from in an ecosystem.
Hi everyone, we've been covering ecosystems, and I'd like to cover the topic of how we get all of that energy within an ecosystem. And I would like to do that by giving an example. And I'm going to use an example of my own from what I ate for dinner. So I ate lasagna for dinner. There are 4 main ingredients, essentially: the cheese, the pasta, the sauce, and the meat. Now let's go back to the cheese and see where we get that energy from. Cheese is a dairy product, which comes from an animal who eats plants. So, cheese, plants. Pasta is a grain, which is a plant. So yep, again, eats plants, is a plant. The sauce primarily comes from tomatoes, which we already know is a plant. So, eats plants, plants, plants. The meat came from a cow, which we all know eats grass, which is a plant. So what we have here is that my lasagna dish, essentially all of that energy in that came from plants. And where does the energy from plants come from? It comes from the sun. But plants also need other things, like the abiotic factors in ecosystems, such as the water, the soil, the nutrients, the sun, the air, the nitrogen, all that good stuff. So I want to stress the idea that all living things depend on each other, but they also need those abiotic factors to survive and for it to be a whole system and community. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you.